It's time for Agriculture, presented by Turkana Farms in Germantown, New York, a small-scale producer of heritage breed livestock and a wide array of vegetables and berries on just over 39 acres. They also produce a full array of garden vegetables, many of them heirloom varieties raised naturally, as well as an assortment of berries, including raspberries, blackberries, gooseberries, black, red, and white currants, mulberries, and elderberries. And now, here's Mark Scherzer.
In a week when the world has been preoccupied with worries about the potentially catastrophic health and financial consequences of the coronavirus infections rapidly spreading around the globe, I've been focused relentlessly on a small patch of 38.5 acres in Germantown, New York, otherwise known as Turkana Farms. It's not that I'm trying to escape the ugly larger realities surrounding that patch of land. Rather, it's that this is the part of the world where I actually exercise a small degree of control and am called upon to make decisions of consequence. Further, in contrast to decisions involving the larger world, this is an arena where I harbor a modicum of hope that I can make the future something of an improvement on the past. Just a couple of months ago, when Troy and Victoria told me they had decided against forming their own farm operation here, my first impulse was to declare defeat. If the plan I thought was the farm's salvation had failed, perhaps it was time to sell and move on to the next phase of my life. I contacted a realtor who outlined various options and suggested what she thought was a realistic price for a quick sale of the place. I thought about what it would mean to leave, but the period of contemplation was brief and not very hard. The realistic price she suggested was insufficient, in my opinion, to provide me with the economic security I would have expected from selling my single most valuable asset. After brief reflection, I told her I was disinclined to go forward. If a huge pile of money, that is, a fair price in my estimation, should materialize out of the sky in search of this property, I can at that time truly struggle with whether I could bear to part from the repository of so much sweat equity and memory and what seems to embody the joint project that was Peter and my life together. Instead, as I previously reported, I began the search for someone else to run the farm. I posted the property on a farmer-landowner match site, the agricultural equivalent of OkCupid or Scruff. In a brief period, and before I even posted the pictures of the farm that were encouraged, I garnered several responses. What follows will be familiar to those of you who have dated via the internet. Let's just put it this way, there are a lot more misses than hits. I got a couple of inquiries from people who wanted to place tiny house vacation farm rentals on the property, up to 20 of them. These units are mini cabins in which people get a farm experience by living out in the field and hanging out with the animals grazing around them. I was told that such operations, which seem to me nothing more than camping sites graced with a lot of sheep manure, are under the New York law considered ancillary to agriculture and can be put up without zoning variances or very much in the way of permitting. Without thinking, I invited the first such inquiry to come to see the place. I then read a bit more about these operations, and I thought about what it would mean to have my field dotted with little cabins and a parking lot for their cars, and all the ancillary services they would require, and 40 people walking around communing with the sheep. And it suddenly became apparent to me just how antithetical it all would be to my sense of what the farm should be. To my relief, the fellow, who had found another site he liked, called to cancel, just as I was about to cancel with him. And when the next tiny house operator contacted me, I was able to decline this less than ideal type of date immediately. While some prospects on dating sites reveal themselves immediately to be searching for something wildly different from you, others will initially seem very promising. Promising, that is, until they turn out to be there solely to revel in their fantasies. They will spin out the sexual or romantic fantasies inspired by your profile via text or phone communication, but they never really intend to meet or consummate the relationship. On the Farm Match program, the equivalent is people with city jobs and careers who have dreams of giving it all up for the agrarian life, but who have minimal training or experience in agriculture and cannot really articulate a solid plan for how they'll go about it. I've had some of those dates too, or not quite dates, chats. Yet also, as sometimes happens in real life, matches do happen. For me, the successful match turned out to be via a more traditional means of meeting, through a mutual acquaintance. Actually, it was the result of writing the bulletin about Troy and Victoria's departure. After reading the bulletin, Enid Futterman, who runs the IMBY website where this bulletin is published as a blog, suggested a young farming couple she knows who were interested in moving back to Columbia County from the lower Hudson Valley land they'd been renting to farm on. They're vegetable farmers, selling mostly through farmers markets. They have a truck. They're acquiring a tractor. Theirs is a fully going concern. We spoke. We met. We hit it off. It seems our expectations are in sync. I will wait to introduce them to you until everything is set, but we seem to have passed a number of typical milestones on the dating path. I decided to skip a speed dating farmer-landowner event at the Columbia Greene County Community College last week, run by the Glenwood Center for Regional Food and Farming, because I felt I had already found my match. And when I told my prospective new farmers that I was skipping it, they acknowledged that they too have stopped looking for other arrangements. It felt almost like we were going steady from junior high school. And then they came and took extensive soil samples, which I guess is like the equivalent of a premarital pap test. And I'm working on the lease, using models provided by the Columbia Land Conservancy folks, which will serve as our ketubah, or marriage contract. So it seems a match has been made. Enid, wonderful publisher that you are, perhaps you missed your real calling in life.
Agriculture is underwritten by Turkana Farms, LLC, a small-scale producer of heritage-bred livestock and a wide array of vegetables and berries on just over 39 acres in Germantown, New York. More information, 518-537-3815.